Yo, yo, it's ODB from OLP. This is issue 170 of Mini Truckin Magazine, February 2006. This is a darn good issue, a damn good issue. There's a bonus pull-out poster, which we'll talk about. You have the MT 2006 calendar, Rendering to Reality. Very cool, awesome cover. You got Brandt from Graphic Disorder repping Negative Camber. Of course, Brandon and Shelly, technically, with the owners of this truck. Now, I do want to show you, I haven't done a lot of this because, you know, a lot of times I may only have one issue, or I don't have, in my binders, I don't have, like, the subscription issue versus the newsstand issue for every one. But with this one, if you take a look, you have here the calendar, which would have been a key item that they wanted for you to buy this issue. You can see down here, you have February 2006. Now, this is the subscription issue. And they had at the top, instead of Back and Better Than Ever with the calendar, this one, they were promoting a shop tour. So we'll get back to this issue a little bit later because I want to show you another difference. Well, not a difference, but I'll show you the centerfold, if you will. Again, this has kind of a bonus pull-out poster, and it has the calendar, which is pretty cool. You have Brandt, so real quick, Brandt and Shelly Mayes. So Brandt Fuqua, I always say that wrong, sorry, Brandt. 98 Nissan Frontier King Cab, not an extended cab, Mike. Shout out to Graphic Disorder. Of course, Brandon team do all of our artwork here at OLP. This truck was known as Disorderly Conduct, and it was, whatever you want to say, it was bad. Shout out to Brandon Burrell. This was the first of 10 total Mini Truckin Mag cover credits for him. Brandon is now, of course, the editor of Straight Trucks and has a lot of covers under his belt now, you can imagine. This was the second of 7 total covers with BAD, Build Accessory Direct Wheels. It's the 30th cover with a Nissan on it. It's the 4th of 9 total with a Frontier on the cover. Of course, this truck is going to reappear again in the future on the cover. It's the 15th Negative Camber truck on the cover of the magazine. So enough with slicing and dicing, ODB. Let's get into this one. Like I said, it is a darn good issue. The flip-throughs are back. Make sure you spread the word to the homies and the chicas. Here we will see a similar photo to this a little bit further in this issue. Pretty cool. You got the mountain there. Good mix of vehicles in this one. A lot to talk about. Indy Import and Truck Bash, no longer, at this point, no longer Indy Truck Bash. Hopefully we can tell that story in the future about the name change, as I mentioned in the past. So get this, Mike Alexander, imagine what he was writing about back in 2006, which was, God, we're getting old, 18 years ago? Is that right? Because, you know, 2026 will be 20 years. He talks about Stop the Negativity. And, of course, you know, this is something you could write about every show, every year, every decade. And I think it would be good for people to reread that. I think it's a key thing. I have to remind myself, don't be negative. Say something good about someone before you say something bad. Most people, you can do that. Preston Smith, Simply Extreme, with the S10 here, shaved body line, pretty crazy. And then Dino Tattoo Guy, 87 Mazda B2000 from Forbidden Fantasy. This thing was always sweet. Look how low it is. Shaved corners looking dope. Speaking of Forbidden Fantasy, that's going on 2024. What is it, this weekend? In March. Orange Crush, you got Ryan Welch, 86 Chevy S10. Of course, this was a few years into that body style, but certainly one of the more classic mini trucks. Definitely got some tweed going on. Painted cluster, billet wheel. Pretty awesome stuff. Love looking back at, you know, so many of these trucks, especially if you're looking to build something. Maybe you're looking to build something era specific, or you just want to trip down memory lane. You can obviously watch what we're doing here, but it definitely helps, in my opinion, to you know, spark some interest. Here's tubbing done right. Always super clean when you run some wheel tubs. Here's the MIC ad, 2-page ad. Hawaiian Isles Autofest, always pretty cool. Again, I've talked a little bit about the rich history of Hawaii and some of the stuff that they've done over the course of time. Love those wheels. Super clean. A lot of different styles, you know. You would think, you know, maybe I would think back in the day, it's like, you know, is Hawaii really got a scene? The answer was yes. Mike Alexander shot this. Pretty cool. Imagine going on assignment. Hey, we're going to send you out to shoot some coverage. Where are we going? There's Ernie, rest in peace, doing this Karate Kid. Part 28. Is that? Here is exhibit wheels. And, of course, while you're out there, why not get as much content as possible? How often are you going to make it to Hawaii? Here is a shop tour. And again, this would have been on the top of the subscription. Now, here's what I wanted to show you. So basically, when you get here, you have this pull-out poster, right? This was in the newsstand, right? Because what you want is you know your subscriptions are going to go out the door, right? However many of those you have. But you want to ramp up the sales, and if you can get someone to sponsor or the magazine itself to pay for the, right, there's artwork, there's print, there's extra pages, you know, whatever, you know, typically I think it's going to maybe come in a bag. They used to, you know, certain situations. But basically this would get removed, and what you would be left with is this. So that's one reason why I keep both of these issues in my binder, is because this one does not have the calendar. And if I ever wanted to get that full shot, i.e. pretty much waiting for now, there you go. So that's how it goes. Now, again, unique perspective. I know Jason Redden in the past, he's helped me out with one of the calendars I did not have. Because again, a lot of times this stuff would get, there's Plain Jane and Joe Millionaire. You know, this stuff would get removed. So it's harder to find. Rest in peace, Tom McQueenie. It's getting harder to find, you know, issues that have this stuff in it. Because again, I mean, who wouldn't want this on your wall, right? You see what I'm saying? Sorry, I almost dropped the camera. But what's mini trucking without a little dragon? Here's Marlin again. I saw him at Lone Star Throwdown, Culture Clash. I think it was super low. He still has it. He said it's in pieces. This was Chad Lucas's. So cool. This would be something to add in the arsenal. Again, you know, additional coverage of his truck in the magazine. That photo, as I said recently, was supposed to be in the feature. You've got the watered down driveway. Shout out to Lance, Desert Dragger, and MT Mag, Nissan Motor Corp. Here is the Great Houdini. I think it's still around, if I remember correctly. So, you know, this stuff would get removed, of course. And this is why I wanted to show this. Rest in peace, Jennifer Lacey. Jennifer signed this one, and I'm very lucky to have this. Now, this is one of Jim's copies, and Jim is a good dude. I've known him a long time, and he's the one that I ended up with almost his entire collection. But I also got his first issue. So because of him giving so many issues to Lil Jeff, who I call Jeff Robinson, he probably hates that I call him Lil Jeff. That's his rap name. Jeff is a good dude as well. I ended up with all of these issues. Now, I did offer this back to Jim when I realized it was signed by Jennifer, and he said, hey, I think you're the right person to have it. So I certainly appreciate him bestowing. There is a little inside joke on there that she wrote to him. I'm not going to read that. But there you go, Joe Greaves. I think Jimmy told me Joe spent an entire day shooting. Some of these photos also appeared in the... Was it House of Color ad? Not ad, but a pamphlet. But there's one of those photos from that day. She had white on. She's got the suicide door, of course. Scrapin Customs built. Really, that was Jimmy and Shane of Jimmy's Running Customs. You know, he would spin off and do his own thing. So, again, very near and dear to my heart with this issue, with her having signed that. There's the other side of that page that you saw a moment ago with disorderly conduct. Again, that's Brandt doing a burnout there with Brandon Burrell, the big homie. Brandon Burrell has a new podcast, Modified Rides. He had me as the first guest. I can't thank him enough. Check it out, because I do share a fun fact about myself that you may be frustrated after I tell you what that fun fact is. Breakdance move of the month. That is Chad Lucas doing the worm. Shout out, Chad, if you happen to see this with that mini truckin' mag hat on. There is the hard luck of the month. They would try to hook up folks with a gift card. Here you've got different tattoos. I wonder who that is. Is this guy still around, RA? Hopefully he is. A guy, I don't know if I ever said this, I think I did years ago, guy at my work back in the day, this person comes up to me and goes, "Oh, you're a mini trucker?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, check this out." And he flips his lip out just like that with 2 fingers. And he had a mini, I'm not even making this up, he had a mini truckin' tattoo inside of his lip. And I was like, holy crap. I was a supervisor in a call center, and he did that, and I was like, whoa, okay, you're a mini trucker. Disorderly conduct, of course, graphic disorder kind of ties into that. By the way, when we had Brandt on, we talked about the era of them doing so many renderings that dovetailed kind of into, if you will, what they do now. But Brandt and Shelly, this is the 98 Frontier King Cab, as I mentioned. This is when they were in Pennsylvania, way before their time now in Tennessee. Pretty cool stuff. We can't thank them enough for all the support that they've given us over the years. Very great business to do business with, or organization rather. Super cool. Again, this truck later goes on to be owned by Chico, but there's a lot to take in with this truck, and I obviously with these flip throughs I usually don't go through everything, but the wheels were different. Some people loved them, some people maybe not so. They had those I think they were, someone explained it to me recently, I think you could bolt those in or bolt those off, I believe, because I think the way they spun it when Chico ended up with it is he had removed those. But the bed, I mean, just a heavily modified truck, super low, looks awesome. And of course, doing the burnout with that big engine that it had in there. You've got the cover there over the bed, which is awesome. Definitely a thing that was kind of a little bit ahead of its time. You see a lot of people, and especially in the C10 world, they're doing that. Not just C10s, many truckers have been doing it for a while, but definitely a cool mod. I had it on my truck. I ended up taking it off technically. Just was easier for me to handle a couple of other things on my truck as far as cleaning. Here you can see, again, you got a bigger engine in it. You've got the NC crazy dash with some of the billet work. MT for life, Brandt holding up the truck, that infamous photo. And just super cool. And then boom, look at that, a chassis photo. Love when they do this. I wish they would do more of that, showing kind of the build progress. But shout out to Brandt and team, amazing organization at Graphic Disorder. So here you go. This is Hector from 89 Mazda B2200 from Houston, H-Town. Pretty cool stuff. Here's Import Bash and Truck Bash. So it went from Indy Truck Bash to Import Truck Bash to Indy Truck Bash, Import Bash. It changed a couple times. I think they wanted to just stay with ITB, but they couldn't, is what Courtney wrote about in Street Trucks back in the day. Here is Lee Farmer's truck. Super clean. Love that Mazda. There's a couple Mazdas that were similar in color that kind of run together in my head. Here's Brandt, possibly where it was shot. After this, we'd have to verify that with Brandt. Certainly, maybe not, but a lot of times you can kind of line that stuff up. And then here is Plain Jane. Here's the Mitsubishi, not the Toyota that was on the cover of Tailgate. Getting a little shout out there with the core support work. This truck, I think, was the truck Project Levitation. I saw it at Indy Truck Bash when we went in 01 and 02. I saw it one of those years. It would pull up and it would air out, and then the wheels would come off the ground. It was some crazy, I think a air rod type deal. I thought that I had it on film. I did, thanks to Lee at Lowest Common Denominator podcast, LCD podcast. He sent me a VHS camera, and I was able to import a lot of my ITB footage, I think all of it, and I don't think that I had a video of it working with the levitation, but I believe that was the truck. Here's Jason Casserlo, 99 S10 Albany from Contradictions. Super cool. Again, I love the feature. This is fire starter. You know, you've got that front 3/4 shot, but then you got an awesome shot there showing the Colorado Custom steering wheel. Shout out to team Michael and those guys. They show us a lot of love. And I would argue, again, the best wheels in the business, certainly the best customer service. I think it's not on bags. It is on juice. You can see there. Pretty cool. Here is Scrapin The Coast 2005. Rest in peace to Greg Miller, our friend. You can see how far things have come, even with their artwork there. Very cool artwork, even for back in the day. One of the biggest and baddest shows, and I always tell people, if you can make it to this show, it's a blast. I think the underrated aspect is the indoors, because it does get so hot. There's the famous Ford Ranger from Wicked Customs. But just an amazing show. We love going every year. OLP will be there this year. Indoors, of course, soaking up some of that Freon poisoning, as we call it. That's a nod, of course, to Papa Smurf. Dually, D-U-A-L-I-E, Flava. And you can see here with the bed of this one, super clean. This was Garrett Mosley, 01 Chevy from RA. Super clean, something a little bit different. And if I remember correctly, this is a Phantom dually. And for those that don't know, a Phantom dually is where it's not a dual wheel. So think dually, a dual. That's how I explained it to my son when he was younger. He goes, "What's a dually, Dad?" I go, "Oh, let me explain it." But a Phantom dually is, you know, where it looks like a dually, but it has one large, you know, typically wheel that's going to fill the entire space. I think is the best way I can explain it. But irregardless, even though that may not be a word, I think it looks awesome. I love Phantom dualies. And speaking of Phantom dually, I always forget. I think this is a Phantom dually right there. So I think I get them confused sometimes. I have to look. I have to really look and go, is there an inner wheel? Okay. So 6th Annual Southern Showdown. Here's Mike Alexander and Chad Lucas in the lab. Of course, Chad Lucas doing paper cuts. Again, Chad and I were texting not too long ago. Our history goes back a long time. He came to Florida when he was a rep for a AV company, and he was for Spring Break Nats. And my buddy Russ and I went out and hung out with him and got a chance to go to his house. There's that photo again. Again, it's kind of hard to tell that it's the same photo. And you know, obviously being in the same club and chatting it up all the years was pretty cool. There's Chad again. You know you're a mini trucker with those wheels. And this is Duck. This might have been from the infamous when Ronnie was there with Flat Out. There is some B-roll footage at the end of one of the Flat Out DVDs. I think from maybe this or another karaoke session, I guess you can call it. Again, if you watched our last one all the way to the end, you know I gave an update on the back window of Ron Perkins's irregular cab. Issue 170 of Mini Truckin Magazine, February 2006. And again, you can see that difference there. Again, there's probably going to be a few that I haven't covered, but I would have to go back. I've never... My goal was always to collect all of them if I could. Never really thought that I would. But again, thanks to Jim, I can't pronounce his last name. I never really could, I don't think. And Jeff, because of them, I was able to complete my collection, which ties into this one, right? That I showed you that. I can't thank them enough. And that's allowing for me to bring all of this content to you guys and ladies. Stay on the rise, everyone. Shout out to Brandt. Just such a sick truck. Rendering to reality. Appreciate each and every one of y'all, especially when you watch to the end. We got you. Peace.